in our first day of class, and they teach us about sports psychology, sports sociology, and then anatomy and physiology, and every single body part can work, and it's absolutely incredible. I'm sure as a chiropractor you see that every single day. And the more I learned, the more I realized how applicable this was to what I loved, to wrestling. So much so that I decided to get certified as a trainer, and I started my own business that way. Throughout the past 7 years or so now, I've been able to develop the business to incorporate close to 30 personal trainers. We do consulting. We build and upgrade physical facilities in-home as well as full-size gyms. We design functional fitness facilities, which is actually my personal specialty, as well as just passing on this knowledge to the youth of today. You know, I'm only getting older. I'm not that old just yet, but I'm only getting older. And these kids, as they get older and older, they're going to be the ones passing on information as well to their wrestlers.
So what type of education, what did you learn as a personal trainer?
That's a little bit of a broad question.
Yeah, do you go through sports injury? Do you go through personal conditioning? The whole gamut?
Well, I began through a very basic kind of broad personal training through ACE, American Council of Exercise, and they were more for the typical personal trainer you'll see in a gym.
Right.
You know, not concentrating on bodybuilding, not concentrating on sport, but kind of an overall information. I realized, you know, personal trainers can only go so far. You can only impact so many lives being a personal trainer.
Right.
So I expanded upon my own information, upon my own knowledge. I got certified in the American Council of Sports Medicine, which was eye-opening, truly eye-opening, because not only do you learn about the physical aspect of exercise, but you understand how the body is impacted by sport and how to impact the sport through your body. You know, as just a wrestler, you think, well, I'm going to lift weights X amount of times a week, X amount of reps per set, and lo and behold, I'm done. I went to the Parisi Speed School. I wrestled with Ken Chertow in his Olympic program. I sat down with their sports and conditioning specialists, and they explained to me, and they sat me through rigorous hours of knowledge and information that taught you that every single motion can teach your body something new. So much so that I really firmly believe now that if you want your body to do something, you have to practice and practice and practice. Just like in school, same thing in the gym, same thing on the wrestling mat, same thing in every single day life. If your body is sedentary, you're only going to be sedentary.
What's really interesting also is that when you become a skilled athlete, your movements become conditioned. So for example, a boxer, when that fist is coming towards the boxer, he doesn't have to think, it's coming here, I've got to move here. It's instinctive, it's programmed. In wrestling, your opponent makes a certain move. You instinctively, your body knows to make the counter move. In baseball, a fielder sees the ball, puts his glove up, runs. He doesn't have to look. His hand is there where the ball is. You become so programmed when you are proficient in a sport that it's really an exciting thing to see. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a long period of time with a lot of training. And I've watched some of your training with the boys on the wrestling team, and you drill them and grill them. And the kids from the other teams, like the basketball teams, are amazed at what the wrestling team goes through. And it's two aspects. One is their conditioning, because people don't realize that 2 minutes of wrestling, if you're not in top-notch condition, you're dead.
Yeah,
it's grueling. But in addition to that, just to learn these moves and to make these moves where your body becomes programmed automatically to do the things. When you feel a hand over here, you know to go over here. And you don't have time to consciously think about it, but your subconscious becomes programmed to make those moves.
Absolutely. Muscle memory is an incredible thing. One of the reasons why I'm always stressing my guys when they aren't on the mat to be constantly exercising, muscular atrophy begins within 72 hours of being sedentary. Just because your mind is willing doesn't mean your body is capable. And unless you keep drilling those moves over and over and over again and keep hitting that gym and just keep working at it and always at it and always at it, that's the way you'll truly be successful, not only with wrestling, but just in overall general fitness. You know, I know plenty of people, you know, the quote-unquote weekend warrior. You know, that one day a week, while it's great, don't get me wrong, but 4 hours on elliptical on a Sunday or 3 hours of basketball isn't making up for the 6 days of being sedentary. I can't stress enough to clients I've worked with that sitting behind a desk, working on a computer, is one of the worst things you can possibly do. You might come home, you might be, you know, more exhausted than I could be after wrestling practice, but at the same time, it's so important. Even just 20 to 30 minutes as a surgeon, a general surgeon, actually just recommended 30 minutes a day. Get up, do something. There are a number of different things people can do just to be active, even sitting at their desk. Standing up and down from the chair every 3 minutes will do something.
Right.
Replacing your chair with a stabilization ball, which you can really get just about anywhere, is huge. It really will have a long-term effect, and you'll be surprised how much of work you're actually getting out of it.
Absolutely. And people don't realize, for instance, a lot of people with our schedules, they skip meals during the day, they get home, have a big meal, big dinner just before they go to sleep. Now, the body doesn't have a chance to metabolize it, so number one, you gain weight. Number two, you can have a heart attack in your sleep. And they don't realize you do a nice brisk 20-minute walk, half-hour walk before or after dinner. Either way, it'll metabolize the food, and you have a lot less of a problem with it. So little behavior modification, things like that, are enough to make a difference. If people don't realize they can do the walk before dinner as well as after. And this way, if they come home, they don't feel like going out again after they get home, do the walk before dinner. But that 20, 30 minutes every day can make a dramatic difference.
People say, I mean, today is a day of technology. I mean, it's an incredible, incredible world out there. I tell all the time, I'm outside, I'm going for a jog. Worst comes to worst, I have my Bluetooth on my head, I have my BlackBerry in my pocket, and I can be on a business call while I'm out there going for a brisk walk.
Right.
There's absolutely no reason. The only true excuse, the only excuse people have is what they tell themselves. There's really no excuse out there.
Now, as a personal trainer, what type of people utilize a personal trainer?
It's really from all levels. I've worked from underage children, 8, 9-year-olds, who are having trouble just being active and just didn't enjoy sport, all the way through senior citizens who are just trying to maintain their daily standard of living. My personal preference when I work with people are athletes. That's where the majority of my training has come in, from university training through all the different certifications and licenses that I hold. But the facts and figures I bring to people and the important information I bring to people is applicable to people of all age. Obviously, the body, whatever the body is willing to do, we can do with them. But it is important for people to realize just because the average 17 or 18-year-old can do something doesn't mean the average 6-year-old can do something as well.
Right.
It's stressful, to tell you the truth, sometimes mentally to people. People remember their heyday. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with in their mid-40s and asked them, what sports do you enjoy? It's like, well, I consider myself an athlete because I played basketball in high school. I'm sorry, you're 45 years old. You're not that 17-year-old anymore. And it's difficult for people to get over it. So much so that people hire us to make them realize that while I can't do that anymore, I can do something else. I went back to my old university relatively recently. I'm 23 years old now. I went to back wrestle with one of these 18-year-old studs. I mean, these guys who are coming out of high school, and they're physically able to do things that I can't do. Even though I'm only 5 years old and I'm only 23, they're really in tremendous, tremendous shape. And I've got to be aware that I am not capable anymore of what some of these guys are able to do, but they're also not capable of what I'm able to do. For a man's body specifically, the muscular system can only get stronger. It's not one of those systems that deteriorates as you get older. And the weight training I've done, the way I've let my body develop, is going to be 5 years more developed than these 18-year-olds. So I've got to pick my strengths. When I'm wrestling, for example, my personal preference, I'm not one of these slick, fast wrestlers. I'm more of a bully boy on the mat. I'm stronger, more aggressive. I use my conditioning and my strength to my advantage, while I know some other wrestlers that I coach, that I'm sure you know very well, they like to be slick and fast and drop and whatever. My own brothers, all my brothers wrestle as well. My own brothers are like that, and they're also 60 pounds lighter than I am, but regardless. And they love to dance around the mat because that's what the body's conditioned for. If they came to me for training, I would never give them the same workout I would give myself. I would give somebody who's a 200-pound wrestler. They don't need it. They don't want it. But at the same time, 5 years down the line, physically their bodies would be in as good shape as mine.
Now, so with each client that you have, would you sit down with them and see what their goals are, do an evaluation of where they are and where they want to get to and work towards that, take into consideration nutrition, exercise, all this? Is that how it works, basically?
When I sit down on a first session, we'll sit down at a desk just like this one, and we'll take out a piece of paper. And I'll have them obviously fill out the appropriate forms and whatnot. But I want to know, what are their personal goals? I'll ask them, are you interested in weight gain, weight loss, general fitness? Some people, unfortunately, can say weight loss when they really can't afford to lose any more weight. They just think, oh, I don't feel healthy, my genes do as well as I used to. It's almost a silly thing. It's an unhealthy thing. So they'll explain to me, well, I want to lose these last 5 pounds, and I want to do it by next week. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. But what I can do for you is I can work on all those muscles that you've let atrophy by you not doing any weight-based motion or weight resistance motion, and I'll make you stand taller, so that those 5 pounds will actually fit your body, as opposed to, unfortunately, having the rounded shoulder syndrome, where people are just kind of rolled and slumped forward, and the 5 pounds sits heavy on them.